All right, so here today, folks, we're in Kismet, Kansas. First time, I think, well, I've been here. We're standing by it's like a little oasis. I know in Kansas we don't have a whole lot of lakes and streams, but this is kind of a nice backdrop here. I'm standing with Rock Ormiston of Ormiston Farms, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Devin Hardy is the operator, hired man. Anyway, so we're here talking about the Hagee sprayer Monte cover crop machine.
I'm actually a third generation farmer. Our farm was homesteaded in 1906 right here on this very border. We're not too far from the really good soils, but we're more sandy and rolling, and so basically row crop, full irrigation, and consequently rolling hills and a lot of sand. And so maybe 5-6 years ago we decided we needed a little more protection. We get tired of our crops getting blown out, and sometimes when the residue is a little bit clean, we have some pretty harsh Marches and Aprils. And so we started with wheat, triticale, and really liked it. But you know, the original reason we did it was to protect the surface from wind and water erosion. And then we rolled into year 2 and 3 and quickly discovered that there was way more benefit from what was happening below the surface. We found our CECs went up, our organic matter went up, we could hold more moisture because of this root mass, whether we had planted brown or green, it was still living. And if it wasn't living, it was decaying. And with all that said, our crops got better. And there was only one thing. I mean, we had Mother Nature working in our advantage, but we were irrigation too. We were growing better crops and healthier crops right out of the gate. Ribbon at green, perfect stand corn, and brown Roundup. Years 3 and 4 and 5, we started playing a little more with rye, maybe a little because it grows faster. We experimented with both of them, and there was a huge difference. And so ultimately we switched, and we're mostly all rye with a little bit of triticale. A little apathy going on. Found we didn't have to use any chemicals, some of the harsh chemicals, till later, and used less chemicals because we didn't have an early burn down. And I really think our next phase, we definitely got some discussions, is to start primping some of our later planted crops, anything after May the 15th. We'll let this rye get 5-6 foot tall, roll it down.
No, interseeding, is that any advantage? That's,
yeah.
I guess what was the reason for the interseeding?
It'd be huge. And we didn't have really good success with an airplane, and a lot of it depends application, airplanes, and you're spreading rye by air. That's not real. That's a problem in this country if you got neighbors surrounding you. So taking like a Hagee rig and putting it over the top, it's going to be way more accurate, more uniform. But timing, timing's a big issue. It's getting in there a little earlier, and we've had some rains here as of late, and I think that's helped us. The jury's still out on how good a stand we got. We applied 100 pounds of rye because we're going to graze, and that would be the second or the last phase of cover crops is grazing. But if you're going to graze, this quicker cover is huge. We actually did not. There was 4 of them, 4 circles out of the 8 that we did over the 1,000 acres roughly that we did with the Hagee, and had turnips and rape as small species, and got along really good.
That you poked the rape and the turnips in the one bin, and then you had
That's correct.
the rye and the other one.
And it should be point should be made. It's the only rig out there that'll do this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess because your turnip seed is really small, so I mean it worked up pretty well as far as that, like pretty low rate, I would imagine on that.
Yeah, 5 pounds. We're running out of 3, 2, or 3 on one and 2 on the other, and they were blended together into one box, and then 50 to 100 with rye. We know with the Hagee and down, we're getting exactly on across the field. And with an airplane, you're getting some in the ditches. I seen it in my neighbors. And with rye, that's been a
What about wear and tear? Is that an issue?
on the wear and tear on what?
So I was saying, so you desk it and then you go and go with the drill, right? That's how you plant the.
No. We would go in. We would go in right behind the combine with a no-till drill and plant it.
Okay.
So, we consider that an $18 to $20 pass. Consider a Hagee to be a $6 to $8 pass.
So that's
Yeah. Well, but you got slower germination. And rye is notorious for is good for germinating on top of the surface with less sunlight than wheat or triticale. So that's another reason why you want to use rye. Now, that's what I've been told. So, and our consultant that walks those fields, he's specifically keeping an eye on the covers. And all three of them, the turnip, the rape, and the rye, are all germinating good. So it'll be anxious to see. But it doesn't mean anything because it's really deceptive when you go out there and you're seeing a 100-pound rake. You go, this doesn't look, but you got to remember it's not in a line. We're so used to growing stuff. And towards the end of the season, we did some of this last year with hay. And 3 circles or something like that. And early, we didn't like it, but late, about the time I went to terminate, it looked really good. We built a fence around one of them. I was going to graze it, but they ended up not needing it. So that's something to consider.
So it's like delayed germination, or just
takes longer to root down laying on the surface. But I think an area in eastern Kansas that had more humidity is going to have more success of this program than out here. Because we can get a hot blast August wind come in here, 100 degrees, and really dry that area before our pivot has a chance to come around. We might run a chance of losing some of it. So we sped our circles up to 60/100s. Since it's been done, and trying to keep around and just keep it wet on top. We just felt like the minute we switched to rye, it was way better. When we're burning down, you know what we're killing? We're killing rye, nothing else. And that's huge.
Fails, a lot of those winter weeds down.
And that's proven. That's not something that we're just saying. I mean, it's universities have done some research on it, and it's not a disadvantage to plant corn or soybeans, and I don't know about sorghum, but it doesn't affect that, but it does some of these problems.
Did you do any sorghum ground or not? It's all corn.
No, it's all corn. Sorghum I wouldn't be afraid of. I probably wouldn't be afraid of 30-inch beans now, but when we first experimented with it, both by air, in beans they were solid seeded. I mean, this tall, and you could see where it got 2-3 inches tall and died. Just one little spindle. Just couldn't get enough sunlight down there. In full canopy. With corn, I think late in the season, you're losing your bottom leaves and you're starting to see sunlight down in there, and it's just enough to make it rise and germinate, stay healthy. Turnips and radishes, rape, and all those small CCs always seem to do a little better than rye. And then rye comes on the minute you break that canopy, it just explodes.
I guess cost savings of grazing cattle on the cover crop versus feed. What do you have an ROI on that, or do you say?
Well, you mean running cattle on it instead of feeding them in a pen?
Yeah, correct.
That'd take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
And that's a significant savings.
Yeah, you just build a fence. We just build a single wire fence around it and graze it to the ground, and we're building another one at the same time. And when that's done there, we just move it to the next one. We move them like 3 or 4 times. We got water, submersible water. We can haul water, to it versus in the cattle pens. Cattle pens, you gotta grind up your residue and everything. And the cattle are natural grazers. They'd a lot rather be out there doing that. And they got the blend of both the corn stalks and the new grain, whatever. And really, and someone, Devin, in his experiences, would probably be more apt to say, I'm going to play with other covers, not just rye. Because there's some really good legumes out there that you could be playing with, And we'll start doing a little more of that, but we're just one step at a time.